Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another good discussion for you today. The movie of the day is Haine or Hate.
Yeah.
It's from 1995, and this month, the last few months, we've been doing different themes. So this month is actually French crime action films, and Haine is the first one.
This is a good one. This is a very
Yeah,
good one. I remember you
yeah.
said you're like really excited to watch this one, and
hmm
then Patty and I watched it yesterday, and we were like, I was like, I don't know, Patty, like he's like really excited for this one, and then like we are watching it, and Patty was like, Patty, all right, just to kind of like, Patty ended the movie, she was like, I need to watch like a comedy or something just to like liven up my. She was like, this could be a tough month.
it's intense, man. Like, but the
Yeah.
the crazy thing is, it still fits the times of now.
That's one of the notes. I was
Yeah.
like, this movie is severely relevant, especially for,
hmm
granted, this is in France, but American individuals probably will see this as like, this is our life right now. That's kind of like,
Yeah.
but no matter what, like whatever we're experiencing in America is has and will happen outside of
Throughout the
America,
world.
and
Yeah.
so like we're not this little like pocket of like everything happens here and stuff.
At least not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, not
With
anymore.
social
No,
media,
yeah.
everybody knows everybody's business.
Yeah.
But I wonder. I know we typically start off with the likes and dislikes, but I wonder how. I know this movie could be made now, but I wonder how it would look and how it would feel. Because it seems like watching this from 1995, it captured the time, but it's still relevant now. So I wonder if somebody was to remake this, hopefully not, but if somebody was, if they would still keep with just reworking what was already done or try to make it fit the current time.
I don't know. I think what makes this movie still relevant is the subject matter,
hmm
but it's not like there's talks of violence, there's talks of this and stuff, but the what really all you're doing is following three friends bickering
Yeah.
with each other, but then also hanging out for the whole day,
hmm
basically. Like Patty at the end, she was like, I feel like I've been up forever. Like they've been up the whole day.
They literally like,
Yeah.
but they weren't tired. Like none of them took
No.
naps. They were just up,
But
smoked
I
weed,
think
drank
that's
everything,
what, yeah, they did I know, right? Like
everything,
I
everything.
think I would have fallen asleep, but
Got in fights. Like what didn't they do in that day? Got chased
but
by
I think
cops.
that's what makes it better, is because you're
Okay.
showing kind of like a real element. And sadly, I think nowadays people would want to show the violence more often. And
Yeah.
granted, you do need, like, people need to see that and stuff, or like need to understand where this stuff comes from. But I think when you're trying to make a piece of like memorialization of something, like, I think the overly violent stuff does not work, does not kind of like go into the ether of like, oh, this is still relevant today.
hmm
This is still something like I can watch this. This is from like what 20 something years ago and stuff, like, or now 30 something years ago, um, where it's still, you can still see where like, oh wow, like this is made so long ago, but it still hits every single note for
hmm
what we're dealing with today and stuff. So I think you would lose that if like a modernization of it would be created. I think what's nice is that we see it as like, oh, it's like it's an old movie, so and so old movie from '95, but it's still like you can still sit down and enjoy it actually, because it's like you kind of don't understand what you're watching, because it's just these three dudes just kind of getting into a mess and
I
trying to mess up.
loved I loved that it was just like us following these three guys during their day, and then they would just kind of touch on, hey, this is what's going on around them. And then they would be like, oh, here's a cop messing with these kids that are, yeah, they were doing some stupid shit, but when the cops were around them, they weren't doing stupid shit. They just happened to be in a
Mm.
location. So I like the subtlety of the violence, and then the end changed all that. But throughout the duration of the film, I like the subtlety of it. Like,
I
hey,
like
there's, mhm,
the subtlety. I like that there was that one character that was like, hey, just to tell you, like, it, no matter what, it's probably true for everything. It's like he
Mm-hmm.
says, "Violence breeds violence." And to be honest, and we're probably going into like our likes and dislikes for this, but
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I thought that character with how the other dude was like toting around with his gun and stuff,
Oh
I was like,
goodness. Yeah.
I feel like that other dude, the boxer, was gonna
Mm-hmm.
be like Ricky
Oh, and
from
get
Boys in
killed.
the Hood.
Mm-hmm.
That he was just gonna like randomly get killed because of the stupidity of the
Of
guy
a
that was
friend.
like pointing a gun at everybody.
Yeah.
Uh,
He
which
kind of did
I was
though.
like, man,
He kind
he
of did. He
kind of
did.
like the way it ended. It was like, but I thought it was gonna be like that Ricky moment where like, oh, like Ricky's dead,
Mm.
and now we have to figure out like what we want to do afterwards and stuff.
Yeah.
And but but no, I think the way it ended and the way they intersperse, because you get remembrances of the violence, especially
Mm.
when the guy dies,
Yeah.
and just out of nowhere too. They're like watching something on the screen. They're dead tired. They're kind of
Mm.
hanging out at somewhere, and then
And
out
then
of nowhere, it
plastered everywhere.
splashes on the screen that their friend
Yeah.
is dead, and it just almost kind of like snaps you back into reality, like
Mm.
them, where it's like, whoa, like I forgot, like they went to the hospital to go try to visit him. They got into a scuffle
Yeah.
with the cops and stuff, and then it almost reminds you, and it reminds you what the dude's been saying the whole time. If he dies, I'm gonna point this thing at everybody and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and actually use it. So it almost kind of like it deadens the emotion too. It almost like it is how life kind of goes, where like I
Yeah.
don't know, you can have some good times and then out of nowhere, like poof, like it just kind of like turns horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, but what would you take as like your greatest like from this movie, or like what would you take as your likes?
It's the cinematography and the camera movement. Like I don't that rest. So I've seen the restroom mirror shot before, and so I've seen it before, and then I watched Euphoria, and they referenced that shot with the character Nate. He does something in the mirror as well that matches Haine. And when I watched it previously, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool shot." But for some reason, when I was watching it last night, I realized like that took a lot of coordination because there's no mirror. So they took the camera through. So there was somebody on one side of the wall, and then it was the actor that we saw as Vinz on the other side of the wall. At least when I was watching it, just how it seemed. So they had two different actors. Vinz was looking directly at the camera, and then there was another actor with his back turned to the camera. And as the camera approached Vinz, that person with the back turned ducked, and we got a closer perspective of Vinz. And
Whoa.
yeah, right. Like when
So
you
yeah,
watch
it
it, you
kind of
can't
makes me think
tell.
like I gotta rewatch that.
There's like
Like,
you'll see it with the actor with his back turned. There's like a slight delay when he raises his arms versus when Vin raises his arms. It's super super subtle, and so I think that's how they shot it, but I could be wrong. But it was still a great shot.
isn't there a shot like that in Terminator where like um Arnold is kind of like getting like something done on him, like
Mm,
he's hurt and stuff, and there's like a mirror, but there's actually not a mirror there.
I think
Like it was
so.
like this like weird kind of like James Cameron, like he figured it out and stuff, and to make it look like a mirror, but it's not. Like I think they used the double to like
Hmm.
mimic his. So it's like there's a lot of acting going on because it's
Yeah,
kind of like you have to like make
the
sure that you're
timing.
kind of yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm
that I was like, holy
gonna
shit.
rewatch that scene. I'm gonna tell Patty like that's some guy things.
Well, that and then there was a scene. Vin's. I don't know why all the scenes that stood out to me were with Vin's, but Vin's is in the back of the car with the friends,
Mm.
and so they go from the backseat of the car looking at Vin's, and then they cut to Vin's in I think the hospital, but it's like a subtle, like not even a 180, like a 90-degree turn. And when he ends his turn, he completes the turn when he's in the hospital or the prison or whatever they're at. I think they're in the hospital. It's crazy.
I feel like you watched this movie totally different. Where it's like you like because I did not even notice any of those
Yeah.
shots.
But because they're so subtle,
Yeah,
but that's a testament to the cinematography though, like the fact that everything was so. That's one of my notes is like the fact that everything looks so seamless.
and to also have kind of that rogue style of it almost looked like someone's there with a
It felt
handheld and
gorilla,
stuff like
yeah.
yeah
Just camera on
like
your
kind of
shoulder, just running
walking
through.
around
Yeah.
with them and like as again I think we said it quite a bit it makes you feel like the fourth person there where
Hmm.
you're just kind of like one of the dudes hanging out with them and stuff too but you're like kind of like a silent protagonist but
Yeah, that
yeah
fly
it's
on the
like
wall, I love that.
yeah because you're there you're able to see their reactions and all their stuff and
You feel the emotion of everything as it's playing out.
yeah I was very surprised one of the shots I was like and it's like probably nothing to like as great as the other ones that you said but they I was like I they must have like had like hired a helicopter or something I don't know
Oh
that like it
yeah,
looked like a
through
drone
the
shot I
buildings.
was like
Yes,
how does that work like how
that
does
I
like
don't know. I was trying to figure that out too because all the buildings are high. They don't have any. So I'm like, is that a crane? They don't have drones back then. Like, how did they get that? But I saw that too.
yeah, that's what Patty was like. She was like, "Did they have drones back then?" I was like, "Not normal people."
Yeah, that if they did, that's super expensive.
Yeah, and also thinking about like I'm assuming the budget for this movie is not very high,
No,
so
not
hiring
at
a
all.
helicopter seems kind of like too
It takes like
much.
half the
So
budget probably.
so maybe a crane. That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, but it seemed like because it was a little shaky, but the perspective looked like a drone shot or a helicopter shot. But
Hmm.
like it's in the middle of a densely populated city. Like I don't think they could fly a helicopter. So yeah, that's why I thought crane. But I would love to know how they actually shot that.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. So
DJ scene
there's a lot of
too.
stuff. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say that's like right after the DJ scene.
Mm-hmm. The
Yeah,
DJ and the breakdancing scenes are really good too.
yeah. Yeah, I
This
think
was just a
I
great
was
movie, man.
mesmerized by the breakdancing scene where it's like you there's like that one dude that's standing there the whole time. I was like, is he gonna
Is
is
he
he
to
gonna
jump in?
like jump in and stuff? Like, is he gonna do it? No, he's just standing the whole time. But like
Just watch it.
the way it cuts to all of them kind of doing their thing and stuff,
Mhm.
and then again, I think I think that's what's very good about this movie is that like it shows you little spurts of life happening
Yeah.
good life is what some people will say and then out of nowhere you're almost like reminded because that kid runs in like oh something's happening and stuff and
Yeah.
then like it almost just kind of like just blows it all up and then they're all reacting to that and it's sort of that's I think that's what also kind of makes it so real today where it's like you watch it because like I think we're all very reactionary that's sort of
Hmm.
like we're not thinking about steps ahead we're we're only thinking about the present and stuff and
Yeah.
so you're kind of like lost in this moment and then out of nowhere something snaps you to this other moment that could be good or bad and so it's like you I think this movie that's why it feels so real I think for like real life is that it just has these moments where it's like poof, it just kind of reminds you of like oh life kind of sucks sometimes.
But it's so like subtle and so well put. Like when it happens, because you're like in the middle, you're enjoying your day or wherever you're at, and then boom, and they're running, and they're like, "Oh snap! I got to follow these guys as they're running. Where are they going? What's going on?" Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
And the ending is a very dramatic uh, example of that. The
Hmm.
ending is just kind of like it just slaps you in the face, and then like you're like, oh my, like what I just watched,
Yeah,
like it's over now too.
and it's like quiet too, so you're just kind of soaking in. Like, did I? No, there's no way that just happened. And they pan out, and you see Vinz is on the floor, and you're like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit!"
So like the ending is very like this like the ending is like the whole time because like you're like your whole time you're thinking that Vince is just gonna shoot somebody and stuff, and
Hmm.
he almost does,
Yeah.
but twice basically that cop and then the skinhead and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, but he chickens out, and I don't know about chickens out. He kind of thinks about I think the realization of like taking a life.
Hmm.
I think that's
That
like
was an
sort of
intense
like
scene too.
yeah,
When
where
with the
it's like
skinhead.
there's a lot of stuff going on,
Yeah.
and there's that one dude that's kind of like talks a lot, his friend, but
Oh,
like then he's
Saïd.
quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Saeed and just doesn't do anything. He doesn't know what to do. He almost freezes into the moment. And then what's the other guy's name? The boxer? Uh
Hubert.
Hubert. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hubert kind of like almost like it's like a test of judgment where it's like, are you gonna do this? Like then
Yeah.
do it. If you talk about it too much. But the ending kind of you're shocked because like there's
Yeah.
another scuffle of them interacting, and it's the end of the day. Like they're all just like, I'm just gonna go home and
Mm-hmm.
take a nap and stuff, or go to sleep, and they're like, we'll see you tomorrow. This is like,
Yeah.
they're gonna sleep through the whole day. But then they get caught up with some cops and stuff, and they're like messing around with them, and then the one dude's messing around with his gun, the cop,
Yeah.
and then accidentally shoots and kills Vinz. And then Hubert has the gun that Vinz has been carrying around and decides to point it at that that cop.
Because I thought Hubert was going to walk away. Because I'm like, okay, he got the gun away from Vinz. Vinz should be clean. The cops happen to grab Saïd and Vinz. I thought Hubert was going to keep walking. Because he's like, okay, I have the gun. Like, I got to get away from this situation. But to show that other perspective of like, oh, my friend has got murdered. I need to avenge his death. And for him to go back. And then we don't know if he was killed or if the cop was killed. But just having that close up on Saïd as something is about to go down. And then you just hear gunshots. That was good. I thought it was a great way to end it.
Yeah, and especially the shock in Saeed's
Yeah.
kind of face, where it's like, again, he's the very talkative one, but he's like almost frozen in time, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's not processing what's happening at that moment. It seems
Yeah.
like, which is very real for a lot of people, I think, where like you would kind of be lost in the moment, where it's like you're almost like what is like, is this real life?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of like, and then like it's the subtleness too, because I think you do hear two gunshots at the end, and so you're like, well, like, and then but it just fades to black, and it's like you don't, it doesn't even fade. It's like a dead
It's just
cut
black.
to black.
Sopranos on us. Just pull
Yeah,
another
right.
soprano.
Yeah, I
Let us
wonder,
know.
man. It's like I wonder if like that's that. I don't know. I enjoyed the Sopranos ending. It's tangent, but
Mm-hmm.
the ending to this, I think, is just like again, it's it's that subtle like realization of violence, but it's not in your face.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of like, it's almost like how most people kind of hear of violence. It's
Like
it's either
hearsay
you
or
live through the violence or you hear it through hearsay. You hear it on the
mm-hmm.
news, you hear it from buddies or whatever and stuff. And so it's like, and then you don't, you're not around it and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is a very powerful movie. I think this is a
Yeah.
very, very good movie.
Because you touched on it earlier, but the fact that the violence isn't in your face, I think pulls you into the movie more.
Yeah.
At least for me, like because so many movies now are just like, oh, this person got shot and you're watching it, or this person's got their arm chopped off and you're watching it and blood's going everywhere. But to know of all the violence going on in that city around these guys and not to actually see anything except for like some subtle little fights, and then to end it that way, I was like, this is great.
Yeah, it's almost like psychological horror where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you understand what is happening around them, but you're enjoying the time that you have with them.
Yeah.
Because there's like all the crazy moments. That crazy dude in that like apartment where he's like, you can tell he's hopped up on coke and he's
Oh,
like,
dude.
yeah. But
Oh
there's
my
like those
goodness.
like crazy. There's sometimes where it's like, I don't know. I think we're much older than we used to be. I'm an old man, but like when you like look back at your time of life, and like those are the moments where you're like, wow, like that was kind of like, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was stupid. Why did I do that? That was stupid.
Yeah.
But even the old man in the restrooms, I still don't think I wrap my head around that scene. Just like the characters couldn't wrap their heads around what was going on with that and like his speech.
I took that as like as a, because Patty and I were like, oh, that totally reminds us of like, I think most grandparents, like
Mm.
randomly they see somebody. Like whenever we used to go see my abuelita and everything, we would show up and then she would just start saying things out of her like of her day or like what she like heard about and stuff. And I think that's another way of kind of like just showing a human moment because like older individuals, but also I think he also states that it's like you can grow old after seeing violence. Like because
Mm.
the ending to that story is that his buddy just freezes to death because
Yeah.
couldn't he couldn't
Couldn't jump on
uh
a train.
he couldn't jump on the train because
Yeah.
like he can't take a dump in front of everybody and stuff. So he had like run off. I was
It
like,
was such a weird roundabout story. I was like, what?
and
What do
it
you
was like
mean?
it was in a negative kind of like they were being taken to like a camp, like
Hmm.
it was like a racial like concentration camp and stuff. So it's like there's that underlying thing that like, oh, this is a bad situation for all of them, but it got even worse for him because he
Yeah.
couldn't take a dump in front of everybody and he was very shy and then he just froze to death.
Froze to death. Like, what?
And you're almost like shocked because I think again because like it puts you into the perspective of the three guys because you end
Mm.
up just being another dude with them is that you're just like what are we like, what are we listening to?
Like, who are you? Wait, what? Why are you? You just took a dump. Why are you telling me this story right now? What's
a
going on?
good dump, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's like that was like
I let everything out. Let me let
yeah,
out one story real
it's like
quick for
man I
these
might
kids.
might have to go again for like another week or so. but
Did
but
you have any dislikes?
that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's hard to because given my rating that I gave,
Hmm.
I'm assuming there should be some dislikes. I think for me, granted, I enjoyed it a lot, but it did kind of get like you're following them too like a lot and stuff. So it's
Hmm.
like you're almost kind of wondering like, all right, what's the point of this story? But then that ending kind of just like wraps it all up, and you're like, all
Yeah.
right, I remember the point of this story. And I think that's it's difficult. It was difficult for me to remember what this movie was or is when you're watching it because you forget as to like, all right, I'm watching a movie. I'm just watching three dudes just kind of hang out. But then you forget like what is the point of the movie? Like, why did someone make this?
Hmm.
But then you're reminded by that and stuff. And so I think I kind of like I'm trying to figure out like what I think if I were to watch this again, I would probably rate it higher.
Hmm.
But I think that's probably one of my only things with this is that it sometimes you get lost of like what's the point.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason. That's the point of everything. It's like it just shows real life. But I don't know. What would you say anything as a dislike?
I think the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's a short film, but it did feel like there was some filler. But then you watch the end, and it kind of brings everything back together. You're like, oh, okay. Like they took us on a
Yeah.
journey to follow these kids for this. Like we got to see the good side and the bad side of the situation.
Yeah, because it is a short film. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, right?
Hmm.
And it's like that's why exactly what I told Patty at the end, where it was like, well, and like we saw how long it was, and I was like, whoa, like it felt longer. And
Hmm.
I think that's probably a negative, where it's like you felt like you were with them too long. Where it's like, but
Yeah.
again, I think that's a reminder of like, because it keeps showing you the time,
Yeah.
and we're American and we can't read military time, so we're like
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
You got to subtract 12 and you're good.
Yeah, yeah, but it's reminding you of how long they've been with each other for this day, and it
Yeah.
reminds you of like, oh, because once it crosses over to that 24-hour period, then you're like, okay, now it's the next day, but they're still
Mhm.
around each other. And because like I don't know, it's kind of difficult to like see it as a negative because it's like it is showing you what like you're at the end where you're like, man, this is a long day because like you feel tired, you feel
Yeah.
exhausted with
Like I've been out
them.
running the streets all day,
Yeah.
man. Like if we take a break or something.
One last thing about it was nice to see because like this is France,
Hmm.
And Patty one time, like during the movie, she was like, I didn't know France had projects. And it's
Yeah,
like, what's nice is that it showed the opposite of what people fantasize about
yeah.
France. Everyone always believes, even though they went
The
to
Eiffel
Paris too.
Tower.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they went to
yeah.
Paris. They you can see the Eiffel Tower in the background and all that, but it's still this gritty kind of like normal people live
Hmm.
in France, not these eccentric fashion people and everything all the
Yeah.
time. Like,
It's not Paris Fashion
and
Weeks. Like, it's
yeah,
real
and
life.
yeah, real life happens in all these like magical places, and so
Hmm.
real life does have to happen. And it's like you just kind of like are reminded that like every fantasy area, like even like Hawaii has its like people believe in America that Hawaii is like this magical place and stuff, which it is,
Yeah,
but it also has normal life kind of happening and stuff, and normal life can be good or bad and ugly sometimes too.
yeah. If you go a few blocks in the wrong direction anywhere, you're gonna be in a bad place.
Yeah, I was just downtown yesterday, and I was like, man, no wonder I come downtown like once a month.
Hey, I was in the city yesterday, and I was like, this is why I only come here in the morning, so I can
Yeah,
get through this city as fast as possible. 'Cause
yeah,
this is
we're like no
crazy.
one's awake.
Yeah, exactly.
But wait, what'd you end up giving this movie as a rating? I in Letterbox, I think I haven't we haven't reminded people, but Letterbox uses a star rating, so it's like 0 stars to 5 stars. 5 stars is the highest you can kind of give it.
What I gave Barbie.
Okay.
No, but I ended up giving this 4.5.
4.5.
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah, should have given it 4.5. If I didn't, I'll have to update my rating.
I was like going back and forth. I gave it a 4, like,
Mhm.
and I don't like changing my, but I think a 4.5 is a very like good rating for it. It is the average on Letterbox. That's the
Mhm.
kind of consensus is a 4.5.
It's a great movie,
And you know why the Criterion Collection has this in their collection. That's the
as
thing.
they
It's like
should. Yeah,
I watched this thing where it's like movie snobs, and when someone says like, oh, when you see a movie on TV and it starts off with that
the
Criterion Collection,
Criterion Collection.
you're watching it. You're just gonna sit down and watch
No, but
it.
that's like A24 now too. So if you've seen
Basically,
A24 or a Criterion Collection, you're gonna watch it.
yeah, it's sad, but there are some people that are very good at what they do,
Hmm.
and even these people that make collections and stuff, it's like they know what they want to put in their collection, and then there's it's gonna be good, I think
Yeah.
so. But would you purchase this movie for your personal movie collection, and would you recommend this?
Yes to both. Yes. I hope more people watch this film.
Me too. I really hope that this doesn't get lost in people's like, oh, I don't want to watch something with subtitles.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch something that's black and white, or I don't want to watch something that looks like it. It it is a very important. I think it's a very important film that like most Americans right now should watch, because like there's almost like that angel and devil kind of like back and forth where it's like, hey, you're just breeding violence with more violence and stuff, and
Hmm.
so. But I will recommend this for sure. I think I'm gonna whoever I see next to my life, I'm just gonna say, watch Haine, or if you're American, it's Hate,
Yeah. You can get it
and
on
buy.
Amazon. It's a couple bucks.
Yeah, and I will probably buy this. I think I'm going out today to go find like a bookshelf for like all my movies and stuff,
Hmm.
and I think this will be one of the next films I buy from the collection.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable. This is gonna be a tough month, because I think this is gonna be an intense
Yeah.
French kind of crime and
I'm
stuff. This one
excited though.
starts off with a bang. This one is
Yeah,
a
I'm
good
excited. I
one.
am really excited for this month.
Yeah. All right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we seeing you next week for another one.